Welcome back to the story of Sam Blackwell. In our last chapter, we learned what people around Appalachia thought about him, a bit about his life as an activist and politician, and his fall from grace when he aligned with the Free States, abandoned his post as senator, and eventually disappeared with his daughter to an undisclosed location. He gave an interview to Quinn Carter of the Charleston Herald where he spoke of sinister forces at work in the government, and warned that the end was coming, and that the government had every intention of protecting itself and its interests, but none in protecting the average citizen. Carter reported on the interview objectively, clearly skeptical of his claims. But loud cries from an angry mob calling for her head, along with Blackwell's, and threats from the federal government led the newspaper's editor to send her into hiding, even advising her to buy a gun. Clearly, Blackwell was pushing some buttons somewhere. We need to explore Charleston a bit more to get the whole story. Our next stop will be Hornwright Industrial headquarters. We know that Blackwell got his start as an activist by supporting miners' unions and directly opposing industry titans like the Hornwrights and the Garahans. Perhaps if we explore the CEO's office, we'll get some more information. When we arrive, we see an article on the CEO's desk. Sam Blackwell, no on Measure 6. This is the ballot measure that the Herald's editor thought was linked to the Hornwrights. It certainly seems like they were paying attention to it, and that Blackwell was in direct opposition. Sam Blackwell, no on Measure 6 by Quinn Carter. The people of the Appalachian Territories cannot sit idly by while their livelihoods are ripped away by metallic hands. These were the words of Senator Samuel Blackwell, coming out in a Herald interview as an authoritative voice against the controversial ballot Measure 6. Measure 6, set to be voted on this upcoming November, would issue a $2.6 billion bond to begin the process of replacing all human workers in the Appalachian government with automated systems, with the goal of complete automation by 2087. Among many in the region, however, it's come to be seen as a proxy war between local workers and the conglomerates such as Hornwright Industrial and Atomic Mining Services, driving the shift away from traditional labor. In our interview, Senator Blackwell spoke frankly about the effect he believed ballot Measure 6 would have on the citizens of Appalachia. A slow-moving disaster. It is our role as members of the government to advocate for our constituents. What do people in Appalachia get from ballot Measure 6 other than pink slips and empty bellies? When asked for comment, Daniel Hornwright, CEO of Hornwright Industrial and a major proponent of the measure, stated, "Senator Blackwell's professed interest in the welfare of Appalachia went out the window when he decided to start associating with separatists like the Free Staters. We have no additional comment." This makes it quite clear that the Hornwrights, known for their own efforts toward automation, were in favor of Measure 6 and were likely heavy backers of the proposal. Blackwell's opposition paints him as an obvious adversary. After reading the article, we can hack into the CEO's terminal, the CEO being Daniel Hornwright. There are a lot of entries in this terminal, the vast majority of which have no impact on our investigation into Blackwell. So I'm not going to go into each one. They paint a vivid picture of what the Appalachian mining industry looked like and how dirty and bloody the Hornwrights' hands were before the war. I may explore all of that in a future series, but for now, we're going to focus on 3 entries we find under archived messages. 1 addressed to Governor Evans, and 2 with no sender or recipient listed. We'll begin with a message to the governor of the Appalachian Territory, Governor Evans. "I'm thrilled to hear that ballot Measure 6 will be taken up for referendum this November. Increasing the efficacy of the Appalachian government through automation will establish our territory as a national player for decades to come. We at Hornwright Industrial want to be a part of that. As you know, we have established ourselves as the experts at creating cost-effective automated systems. Our product line is constantly expanding and adapting, meaning we can develop custom-tailored solutions for your needs. There is no better partner for the automation of the Appalachia Territory government than Hornwright. Not to mention, dealing with a local concern rather than a national, impersonal conglomerate like Robco will certainly help the pill go down easier with the local populace. Why don't you and the missus meet us for dinner to discuss? My wife Evelyn has been dying to get to know the first wife more personally. Next, a message from Daniel to an unnamed recipient. It's Daniel. I have a problem I need taken care of. Senator Samuel Blackwell. I need his voice quieted until the vote on Ballot Measure 6 is completed. I want you to scare him for us. No one's to be hurt, just give him enough reason to disappear for a while. And while I'm sure this goes without saying, make sure this can't be traced back to us. Another message to the unnamed recipient. Impressive work, friend. Your fee for the Blackwell job has been transferred to your account, plus a little bonus. I don't know what you said to him, but the fact that he's grasping at sinister government forces and not us means you said the right thing. Wow, this last bit of information really changes our perspective. We knew that Blackwell had taken his daughter into hiding based on the Carter interview, but we thought, and apparently Blackwell also thought, that they had fled because of threats from the government, not from some wealthy industrialist. Instead, it turns out that what sent Blackwell into hiding was a disguised threat from Daniel Hornwright. Hornwright wanted Blackwell out of the picture so he could get Ballot Measure 6 rammed through with as little opposition as possible. And why was this ballot measure so important to Hornwright? A measure that would automate the government of Appalachia? Money. Hornwright wanted to provide the technology that the government would need to complete the process. Automating his company's mining process wasn't just about cheaper mining operations. It would also allow him to diversify his company's product offerings, which he was trying to capitalize on by offering them for sale in his message to the governor. Sure, Hornwright could have honestly believed that automation would benefit the people of Appalachia, but that isn't likely. He saw dollar signs, and an avenue that his daughter Penny, who was more of a tech wizard than a mining magnate, could take if and when she one day took over the family business. With all this new information and changed perspective in hand, it's time to head to Blackwell's former office inside the Charleston Capitol. When we find Blackwell's office, we find it defaced, with scrawlings and graffiti in defense and opposition of him and the Free States. We also find an official notice pinned to the nameplate. By order of the Office of the Governor, this office is to remain closed until after investigation of former Senator Sam Blackwell and the special election to fill the vacancy has been completed. Anyone found trespassing in this office without authorization will be subject to charges for interfering with the federal investigation. Anyone found defacing this office will be prosecuted for destruction of government property. Until further notice, any inquiries about Sam Blackwell or the special election should be directed to the Office of the Governor. Please remember to vote in support of the Appalachian Prosperity Act. Sincerely, Governor Evans, Appalachian Territories. When we make our way into Blackwell's office, we find that his terminal has been locked by Capitol Security. Someone went to a lot of trouble to keep people out of here. Fortunately for us, Capitol Security wasn't very thorough. We can find their office in the basement, walk right up to an open terminal, and unlock Blackwell's computer. Once we're in, we see a quote: "A good man lives a life of truth, but a great man knows when to hide it," along with 3 headings: memos, appointments, and correspondence. Let's look at memos. Energy meeting. 4th of June, 2077, to all attendees from Justine Messier. Energy Conference Committee. The committee was unable to come to an agreement as per usual. Senator McDougal walked out, also as usual, once Senator Blackwell made his case for the blue-collar flesh-and-blood worker. The push for automation, though desired, results in too many job casualties and needs reevaluation for a slow rollout plan. The committee will reconvene in 1 week where a new bill may be proposed. Updated policies. Congressmen who are unable to give committee proposals their full attention will now be fined. Continued violation of this policy will result in removal from the committee. Vault-Tec Fundraising Gala. Date 7th of June 2077 to all VIP guests. From Yolanda Rothberg. Overview: Vault-Tec University is a wealth of scientific and technological development, with students graduating and moving into the workforce at a higher percentage than any other university in the nation. In order to maintain our success in preparing for the future, we're having our summer fundraising gala so others may continue to show their ongoing support of our nation's most prestigious school. Guidelines: please arrive promptly at 7 p.m. This is a formal event. Dress code will be enforced at the door. Donations will be made public, so consult your conscience. As a reminder, there is really nothing as priceless as the education of our future. We look forward to seeing everyone there. Raleigh Clay release. Date 14th of June 2077. To Samuel Blackwell from Johan Channing. As per your request, a thorough investigation has been launched into the alleged wrongful imprisonment of Raleigh Clay. We'll be trying to identify proper motive, the legitimacy of the accusations, and making sure standard procedures were followed in both his arrest and imprisonment. An initial kickoff meeting will be held on 16th of June for briefings and to establish teams. Personnel: Chief Inspector John Amundi, Investigator Maud Salvatore, Investigator Lou Ellen Henning. Next, we can take a look at his appointments for the month of July. Really, all of these are things that we would expect to see on a senator's calendar and memos that we would expect to find on their terminal. An Independence Day dinner, the Vaultech University Gala that we read the memo about, job renewal speech, lunch with the Secretary of Defense, resource speech at the Capitol. And the last one is a bit more interesting. That's meeting with Senator Burke to go over the automation bill proposal, which we know that Blackwell is not going to be in favor of. Things start to get a little more interesting when we look at the senator's personal correspondence. Here we see correspondence between Senator John McDougal, Curtis Klein, and someone named T. Let's look at McDougal first. The first entry, subject: Energy Conference. Wednesday, 2nd of June, 2077. Sam, the Energy Conference meeting is coming up, and I wanted to touch base on the arguments you'll be presenting. I know we don't see eye to eye on this, but profit margins can't be ignored. Workers will lose their jobs, but they bounce back. They've got VTU right down the street. Let's talk about it. I'll buy you lunch. A follow-up on the upcoming meeting. Thursday, 3rd of June, 2077. Sam, I get it. You're angry. You stood me up for lunch. Again. But we really need to talk about this upcoming meeting. General Atomics is very interested in bringing in an updated line of robots. We just make that known, Robco gets nervous. A bidding war breaks out, and it's money in the pocket. Done and done. We really need you on board to get this done. So we're seeing Blackwell continue to evade this man, who is clearly trying to tempt him with talk of the bottom line and money in the pocket, and from everything we've seen from Blackwell, that's just not what he's interested in. Final email from McDougal. You asshole. You ignore my calls, correspondence. You can't be reached, and then you pull that anti-automation bullshit at the energy meeting? Moreland was right. You really are looking to make some enemies here. Watch your back, Blackwell. And again, Blackwell doesn't respond. He's clearly not interested in engaging with this type of politician, which says a lot about his principles. Let's keep looking. Next, we'll look at correspondence between the senator and someone named Curtis Klein. First entry, canceled appointment. Senator Blackwell, I've canceled your appointment with Dr. Rancer, although he argued strongly against it. I've verified any records of the appointment have been purged from the system. Should we be worried? Obviously, I'd love to know what this is about. Maybe over lunch? Advice. Senator Blackwell, I highly advise staying far away from the Raleigh Clay case. I know he's a close friend, but this has setup written all over it. Someone wants to take him down for the Free States movement, and they won't hesitate to tie you to that sinking ship. We can't afford that type of publicity. Divorce update. Senator Blackwell, I heard from Judge Harlan that your divorce is set to be finalized on the 15th of October. I felt it prudent to give you a heads up so it didn't come as a surprise. I would even go as far as to recommend you take the day off. I know how much she still means to you. We should talk. Curtis Klein, Deputy Chief of Staff. Klein was Blackwell's Chief of Staff, likely someone he trusted. We saw what was probably sensible political advice to distance himself from Clay and the Free States, likely something Blackwell heard daily, but we also learned that Blackwell was getting divorced, which would be finalized just a week before the bombs would fall. And why was it so important that his doctor's appointment be removed from any records? There's definitely something else going on here. We'll have to keep digging. Next, we'll look at entries addressed to someone only named T. The first entry being Intelligence Committee. Senator, recommended reading for the upcoming Intelligence Committee meeting. The Congressional Bunker Project. Who has stake in this? Who's really funding? Is Vault-Tec overly involved? Trustworthy? The answers to these questions are the source of my fears and exactly why I need your help. Department of Agriculture. Senator, the most recent evidence is pointing to the Department of Agriculture having a large stake in the bunker project. I've put out feelers to find out what Secretary Eckhart's involvement is and why agriculture is sinking so much time into the bunker. So Blackwell has someone on the inside feeding him information about what we now know is the Enclave bunker underneath the White Spring Resort. There's one last entry in Blackwell's terminal. Subject Raleigh Clay. Senator, I must advise that you keep yourself removed from Raleigh Clay's wrongful imprisonment. The Free States members should have the capacity to draw enough negative attention to get him freed. More importantly, I need you to maintain your presence on the Intelligence Committee. I'll be in touch. We learned a lot from all that. Blackwell had a lot going on in the months leading up to his disappearance and the Great War. Aside from what we'd typically expect a senator to be involved with, galas, fundraisers, and events at local businesses, we saw how corrupt politicians were constantly trying to drag him into their web. We also saw how he refused to be drawn in. We also learned about a mysterious doctor's appointment, one that he was trying to hide. This must be the neurologist that Quinn Carter asked him about when we heard the interview tapes. What was going on? Was the senator ill? We'll have to keep digging to find out. We also learned that he was going through a divorce, one that he didn't seem to want. We don't learn the reasons behind the divorce, but it's not unreasonable to assume that it's got something to do with the pressure that must have come with being married to such a controversial senator. Perhaps his wife had been targeted with threats at some point. Perhaps the marriage was simply strained due to the stress of Blackwell's work. We may never know. The biggest bombshells came from Blackwell's communications with the mysterious T. Blackwell was digging into information about a secret bunker project, the White Spring Bunker, which would become the future home of the Enclave in Appalachia. It also seems that he had a man on the inside, this person named only as T. Blackwell and T had a shared interest in this project. It's clearly what led Blackwell to believe that the government was really only interested in protecting itself and not the population at large in the event of a nuclear war. So who was T? And why was he as interested in this project as Blackwell? The game never tells us directly who T is, but I think I know the answer to that question. To find out, we'll need to dig around inside the White Spring Bunker itself. We'll do that, but not until we uncover everything there is to know about Blackwell. We'll revisit the identity of the mysterious T in an epilogue once this story's complete. Our next step is to find Blackwell's hidden bunker, the one he ran to after receiving threats to his family, the same one where he gave his interview to Quinn Carter. But we don't know where it is. If anyone does, it's Carter herself. We must have missed something in her office. There's got to be another note or something that we can use to get a clue as to where this bunker actually is. Sure enough, when we return to her office, we can find the Sam Blackwell interview notes stashed inside an old cardboard box. Interview notes. Overall impression, I don't think Blackwell's crazy, but something was off. Very little to gain from leaving his position. Honestly believes there's an evil force at work here. Is he losing it and just hiding it better than the rest of us? Next step, track down who these sinister forces are that sent the senator running for the hills. General notes. Offer for interview arrived in handmade envelope. Favor with the CPD got me a print match. They're the senators. Holy shit. Meet site. Berkeley Springs train station. Met at dawn by a masked young woman, clearly Judith Blackwell, probably forgot we'd met at the governor's ball, and a masked older man, clearly the senator. Roughly half-hour hike, pretty much due east. Could see the sunrise through the bag. Nice thought though, guys. Hike past through a stream, over a highway, small bit of marsh, into a cave, then down an elevator. Rest can be taken from the tapes. Blackwell was in serious politician mode, on message, firm, and trying his damnedest to make sure I was scared about the things he claims go bump in the night. And there we have it. Directions to Blackwell's secret bunker. Start at Berkeley Springs train station and head due east. Look for a stream, a highway, maybe some marsh, and we should find it. And that's exactly what we'll do in our next chapter, which will bring us to the heartbreaking conclusion of Sam Blackwell's story, but not quite the end of this series. We'll follow up with additional chapters on the identity of the mysterious T, as well as another as yet undiscovered, but sinister individual. Until then, I'm Fisty McRib, and I hope you're enjoying the story of Sam Blackwell. Please be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification button so you know the moment I put up the next chapters. See you next.